Hey Sixers fans, Harrison Graham here. I want to make sure to remind you guys to subscribe to Philadelphia 76ers Now. Links below, youtube.com/76ers TV. I know a lot of you guys still have a lot on your minds after the James Harden trade. An interesting aspect of that is losing Andre Drummond, Seth Curry, but lots of players could be available via the buyout market. Philadelphia's own here at Chat Sports, Chase Sr. broke down some of the top candidates that could be available to sign if they get bought out. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe, and Sixers could be adding some more players very, very soon.
So the NBA trade deadline is officially in the rearview mirror, so now it's time for us to shift our focus to the NBA buyout market because there are a bunch of marquee players who could be bought out by their respective teams, then they hit the open market and could hop on board some playoff contenders across the NBA. One big note to set the foundation, those players who do hit the buyout market, if they do, have to be waived by their teams by March 1st. That is the deadline as we progress closer and closer to the NBA playoffs, and in the Eastern and Western Conference, we have some fascinating races when it comes down to the playoffs. So let's take a look at this list of NBA buyout candidates. A lot of marquee players on this list. Goran Dragic was traded to the San Antonio Spurs from the Toronto Raptors. Gary Harris still with the Orlando Magic. Eric Bledsoe with the Portland Trail Blazers. Dennis Schroder got dealt to the Houston Rockets in exchange for Daniel Tice. And Robin Lopez still with the Orlando Magic. Some reports out there that the Magic wanted a first-round pick for Lopez. It's easy to see why other teams didn't take the bait if they can get him on the buyout market. Want to focus in here on Goran Dragic. There are rumblings that he might hop on board with the Dallas Mavericks, but with the Mavericks sending away Kristaps Porzingis and bringing in Spencer Dinwiddie, does that eliminate Goran Dragic in the equation for the Dallas Mavericks? This is a really good point guard who can still really help a playoff team. His 7 seasons with the Miami Heat helped lead them to the NBA Bubble Championship in 2020 as they lost to the Los Angeles Lakers. He was really, really good. He can still play make. Of course, he can put the ball on the deck, can get to the cup in a crafty way, can also shoot the three. 16 points per game during his stint with Miami, a little more than 5 dimes, shot a little less than 46% from the deck and 36.5% from deep, according to Mark Stein and some other reporters. Yeah, he might be interested in the Dallas Mavericks, but a reunion with the Miami Heat also in the cards for the Slovenian. Eric Bledsoe, on the other hand, man, his career has really dipped precipitously over the last couple of years, and frankly, I would kind of stay far away from Eric Bledsoe. This year with the Clippers, he was averaging 10 points per game before he got dealt. 31% from long range is not going to cut it for a playmaking point guard. As for Dennis Schroder, a bargain deal for Boston ends up getting them back Daniel Tice. They signed Schroder 1 year, $5.9 million in NBA free agency, and he lived up to the billing and exceeded some of those expectations. What's weird is that he goes to Houston. They're rebuilding with a bunch of young pieces. That's why we have him on this list as a buyout candidate. 14 points per game this year. He's extremely streaky on the offensive end of the floor. 44% shooting, 34.5% from distance. We'll see if he gets bought out. He'll have a lot of suitors on the buyout market. A team like the Golden State Warriors, as we have a lot of people watching on Golden State Warriors today, makes a lot of sense for a player like Robin Lopez. They elected to not make any deals. They want to remain and hang on to some of those young pieces like Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, James Wiseman as he rehabilitates that knee, and Jordan Poole. So they don't make any moves at the NBA trade deadline. And I had an inclination that was going to be the case, but now they might shift to the buyout market, especially if James Wiseman continues to struggle to come back from that knee injury, and bring in a front court player like Robin Lopez, who Steve Kerr, when he was in the front office, had drafted him several years ago. So we just really focused on some of those big-name guards and Dragic, Bledsoe, and Schroder. I want to challenge you in the comment section. Which guard do you think is the best among these three? GD for Goran Dragic, EB for Eric Bledsoe, type DS for Dennis Schroder. Let me know. For a playoff contending team, I'm definitely siding with Goran Dragic, but you let me know down below in the comment section. We move along with this list. John Wall hasn't played a game this year with the Houston Rockets, although he's making a bunch of money as he's on the books for a base salary worth more than $40 million. Paul Millsap got sent to the Philadelphia 76ers and that James Harden, Ben Simmons deal. I would think they would think about buying him out, but they did lose some depth in that trade, so maybe they have Millsap as a veteran on that team. DJ Augustin, Tomas Satoransky has been moved a couple of times over the last couple of days in the plethora of moves that took place in the days leading up to and during the NBA trade deadline, and Juancho Hernangomez was also moved as well. As for John Wall, last year was pretty good coming off a couple of injury-marred seasons, 20.5 points per game, 7 dimes. He's never been the most efficient shooter or offensive player. He brings a lot of those same qualities that Russell Westbrook brings to the floor as a very good athlete who is fun to watch in the open floor, although I think even though the numbers don't necessarily reflect it, he could be the more efficient offensive player than Russell Westbrook. Really the only trade that could have went down for the Lakers to get rid of Russ was to trade him for John Wall. The Lakers hang on to Russell Westbrook. I don't think they explore the option of John Wall, but I'd like to see him get bought out because I want to see John Wall continue what has been a very impressive career since getting drafted number 1 out of Kentucky by Washington many years ago. Does Millsap fit with Philadelphia? That's one of the underlying storylines with that deal between the Sixers and the Nets, really the biggest blockbuster deal on NBA trade deadline day that sent Ben Simmons up I-95 North to Brooklyn, where he will team up with KD and Kyrie and James Harden, according to reports, which just flat out just done with Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving in the last game against the Cleveland Cavaliers was lighting sage in the locker room, and James Harden looked at him like he had 3 heads. So does Millsap go to Philadelphia, and does he remain on that roster, and does he fit? We will see over time. If not, he fits with some of the title contending teams and playoff contending teams across the NBA. Among all of these NBA buyout candidates who we've talked about and who we're about to talk about, let me know who your favorite buyout candidate is right below me in the comment section. Today's show brought to you by our sportsbook partner BetUS. I love gambling in a responsible way, of course, and I hope you're with me on that. Head to chatsports.com/bet, enter the promo code chat125 to see what I'm talking about, and if you do that, you get a 125% deposit bonus. Chase, what does that mean? You plug in that link in that promo code, and let's say you put in $100 into your account, you get an additional $125 back. Updated NBA MVP odds. Joel Embiid atop the list at plus 220. Now he's teaming up with James Harden. It's going to be Liddy in Philly. The Joker at plus 300. Giannis plus 375. He was marvelous as Anthony Davis's daddy the other night at Crypto.com Arena. Steph Curry at 4-1 odds. He slipped a little bit. Actually give him credit, though, for how he's played without Draymond Green. He's catered his game to help the team, and that's worthy of MVP discussion, in my opinion. Now, if you don't want to bet on the NBA MVP odds, how about Super Bowl 56 coming your way on Sunday from SoFi Stadium just outside of Los Angeles in Inglewood, California? Los Angeles Rams giving 4 points to the Cincinnati Bengals, so that means the Rams are 4-point favorites. The over-under set at 48.5. Matthew Stafford against Joe Burrow. Zach Taylor going up against Sean McVay. A whole lot of really star players taking the field for Super Bowl 56. Get your bets in using that link in that promo code down below, thanks to our friends at BetUS. Few more NBA buyout candidates to get to. Tristan Thompson, Ben McLemore, Rodney Hood, Semi Ojeleye, as well as Blake Griffin. You take a look at these 5 players and you're like, okay, who helps you out the most? At this point in a lot of their careers, they're at the back end of this list for a reason, and they could be made available for a lot of reasons. Blake Griffin last year proved me wrong after he went to the Brooklyn Nets. I thought he was washed. I thought he was cooked, and he actually looked to have some energetic presence for Brooklyn last year. This year, he's come back to that level that I expected him to be at last year when he went to Brooklyn. He has not been good, folks, and it's been sad to see how fast he has declined, going from an uber athlete who's jumping over cars at the dunk contest, a human highlight reel, to a guy who really struggles night in and night out and can't do much to impact at a high level for a team. 6.7 points per game this year, not many rebounds, and you look at the field goal percentage, it ain't great. 3-point percentage even worse at 23 flat. Now, we went live for our NBA trade deadline coverage on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. It was incredible. Thousands and thousands of people joined us all throughout the day, and we picked up a lot of subscribers in doing so. So if you want to stay on top of the best NBA news, rumors, trade deadline coverage, draft coverage, and free agency coverage, we're pushing out NBA videos all throughout the year. Hit that red subscribe button down below and join the Chat Sports family. Okay, James Johnson, DeAndre Jordan, Kent Bazemore, Drew Eubanks, and Eric Gordon. I really want to focus in on Eric Gordon because he's one of the better players on this list of NBA buyout candidates, and we're saving the best for last. Those of you who are still watching, shout out to you. You're real ones. Eric Gordon has been fabulous this year for the rebuilding Houston Rockets. He is a veteran player on a young laden squad, and he's shooting north of 40% from three. He's been lighting it up from the field. If he hits the buyout market, there are going to be a bunch of teams who are vying for his services, because when it comes time for a playoff push, when it comes time for a playoff run, when it comes time for the playoffs, you're always looking for floor spacers, playmakers, and guys who can be consistent knockdown three-point shooters. And this year, Eric Gordon has been one of the best in those categories across the entire NBA. 14 points per game, shooting 49% from the floor, and really all throughout this campaign, he's been floating and hovering around 45% from beyond the arc. So name the best buyout candidate who could hit the open market. For me, Eric Gordon has to be up there, in addition to guys like Goran Dragic, John Wall, and a couple of the other players who we broke down on today's show. Give me a name or names in the comment section. And as always, thanks for watching and supporting everything we do here at Chat Sports.